G'day YouTube, BalorMage here, and we've been getting a lot of questions about the Archmage StormBrand build, and how to push it further, and how to invest currency. So, I've already moved on to a Herald stacking build. So what we've done is we've put together, there's 4 paths of buildings, really only 3 builds, just one has an engrame option. So there's the way that I did it, and I will link all of these in the comments, so there's not going to be any gameplay in this, we're just going to go over what are the good LowLife Archmage StormBrand options. And there's quite a few, and it's going to be up to you which one you want to try and play. So we're going to start with, I will link all of these in the description. So we can start with the standard version that I was running, which is looking like this. We're down to 1 single cluster, a grand design, and a seeker, as well as will shaper in, I intentionally got a 3 because these travel nodes are on mine. They're energy shield, intellect, and percent energy shield. So they're actually incredibly good travel nodes. So I intentionally got a 3 and 5% max amount of extra energy shield. So this is the way I ended up running it. And I was continually changing between having 9 million DPS per brand. This is set to shaper with everything correctly on. This is full on single target, so I haven't included frenzies, which I would have for any map clear. I haven't included anything that I won't have on a Cirrus fight. So this is perfectly reasonable. They're all 100% reasonable. Now, I've been changing and I haven't been able to make up my mind what I like more, and what it comes down to is ascendancy points. If we pick Sign of Purpose, we get quite a bit more DPS, but quite a bit less energy shield. So we sit at 5.2k ES, which I was still able to do 60% Delirious tier 16s with ease, and 80% ones with an occasional death here and there, because it's a little on the squishy side. If we drop this and pick up Sanctity of Thought, our energy shield jumps up to 7.5k, which is far more comfortable, but our DPS drops to 4.5 million per brand, which is still 9 million single target damage. So it's not bad. I just started to really like the high number, so I really couldn't make a decision between those two. But that is the only difference that happened on my tree. So this is the tree as I had it. This is the crit Archmage StormBrand build. The only biggest difference since last time is that I have a Skyforce now, because I needed it for stun reasons. Stun has been the biggest problem in this build. Even I died less once I got a Skyforce and spec'd out of this and lost most of my energy shield. Ended up at 5.2k energy shield with even more damage, and I died less than before, because becoming stun immune basically meant I never had to stop moving. So really quick, a budget option for stun immune, if Skyforce are just too expensive for you, is to swap out the Atsubi's foil for a Presence of Chiula. Give you 60 chaos res, which means you won't need any on your gear, because 0 is more than enough. It'll make you stun immune. You do lose a little bit of damage by swapping it out, but becoming stun immune is incredibly good. Now, there are 2 other good endgame low-life options. Now, neither of these I did personally, but I saw both of them running. So we collected all the path of buildings for those. There is the one Shads has been doing, which is full cold conversion brand. Now, the biggest difference here, he's got the same issue and actually a little bit less energy shield than me. So he's got 4.7k with, if we pick the skill, 15.5 million single target damage per brand. So he's looking at 30 million Shaper DPS right now. However, if he specs out of that and into Sanctity of Thought, he gets all his energy shield back to 8k, down to 7.7 million. Now, that option still remains there the entire time. You will notice that he has gone a different route and had a little bit more clusters. He's got a large with damage penetrates 10% of cold res against chilled enemies, a little bit of aura effect, and then he's got a grand design, brand loyalty, seeker rune, brand loyalty, more fevered minds in the end. And then over here, he's actually fit in a effect of your curse and hinder and intimidate, which is probably not necessary, and this part's up to you. It makes really, really easy and 100% uptime of your unnerve, which is 10% more damage taken, but you can get that off a cast when damage taken Blade Blast. For that, you have to take damage, and then it's only on for 4 seconds. So this guarantees it all the time, up on everything, and he has also chucked a Will Shaper in the end. So this one, a lot more damage, also significantly more expensive. Being cold conversion has meant everything gets shattered and everything gets frozen, which makes it a lot safer, even at the 4.7k energy shield. The problem with this is getting your resistances on this version of the build is very difficult. This requires 2 qualityed Call of the Brotherhoods, and the only way he was able to get it was with all res corruptions, because he just couldn't fit all the res that he needed in it. Even the belt is disgustingly high on res. I think that's actually got quality, it just doesn't show up in Path of Building. Yeah, so this is definitely the higher budget option. Also, part of the reason his DPS looks so much higher is because he managed to get an Awakened Cold Pen and an Awakened Chain. So if we just lower those back to normal, doesn't actually take that much away. Nope, he's still very high. So yeah, that is a second option. That leads you to freeze and shatter everything. When you're doing damage numbers this high, when your average hit is 4 million, you freeze bosses, you shatter everything in the game. So that is another option. Then there is the third option, which after some extensive looking at everything, I think is the best all-rounder option. And that is Yellow, who's been a community member for a long time and has been just started streaming. He is currently playing, and he did an Elemental Overload version. It was no crit at all, and it honestly, I know the DPS looks quite a bit lower, is at 1.9 million with everything set right. However, what we didn't notice, which he did, is that if you have enough brands, you can stack brand loyalties, of which he's only using 2 in the starter tree. This is for when you would first start over. And the end game one, I believe, is using 4. So you can stack these brand loyalties, and the interesting interaction that he found is that when you brand recall, all brands hit the target that you're near, as long as they can reach it. Those brands, when they hit with brand recall, count as attached for that hit. So stacking brand loyalties and additional brands gives him, I think he has 8 brands total. I didn't count them. There's a lot. But they all hit, and they all hit as if they're attached. So he's still got Seeker Runes. I believe 2 of them, or maybe only 1. Oh no, only 1. And the rest of them are just Grand Design, Brand Loyalty, Grand Design, Brand Loyalty, Grand Design, Brand Loyalty, and then Brand Loyalty and Seeker Runes. So we still got 1 Seeker Rune to get that whole flubber runes going where they jump around and reach things that are very far away. But it makes his tooltip a lie. Also, where did that tooltip change from? What did I do? I clicked a thing. Hang on. All right, this is the endgame version. Yeah. So this makes his tooltip a lie. In the full endgame version, which he's got right now at level 98, he's actually doing 7 million DPS, which is quite high. But this Path of Building is done with some very, very good gear. So we also have a starter EO tree, which has that 1.9 in it. But your single target actually ends up being much higher because of how brand recall works and how we didn't know. And 1.9 million is still more than enough to clear every map in existence. And this lets him, on a very budget build, be at 7.8k energy shield with still 2 million damage. This also will enable you to do things if you want to. It will give you all the points back to be able to take, say, block nodes or block nodes here. If you wanted to invest in extra layers of defense, you now have those points, which we don't have before when we're running crit. We need to take the crit here, and we need to take the crit there, and we need to take the crit there, and we need to take the crit there, and it's so many points that I think EO is easier to get into, and in the long run, a more well-rounded character than the way I was doing it. Yellow is also streaming most days, so I will also link his Twitch channel in the description of this video, so you can go and see this version of the build being ran and see how it maps and whatnot. I personally think this is the winner. It isn't, strictly speaking, the highest DPS, nor is it, strictly speaking, the way you could get the very most amount of tankiness out of a build, but it's, to me, the favorite for an all-round. It does everything almost as good as the best version that you can do, and since it does everything like that, it becomes my favorite. So yeah, those are the 3 options with 4 skill trees, an endgame one and a starter one for Elemental Overload, and then the way I did it in the endgame, and then also the cold conversion way that Shads did it in the endgame. Those are our 4 options. I will apologize again for not having any gameplay ready, but this was a quick recorded video to get it up and get information into people's hands. All 4 of these path of buildings will be in the description below, as well as a link to Yellow's Twitch channel so that you can check out the EO brand version, which is what I think people should be running. Also, what I'm going to quickly mention is that if you're currently running my crit version and you've been powering that up and getting that going, the swap to EO is just a tree respec and a new weapon because you don't need crit multi anymore, or crit chance. The weapon is the only thing that needs to change, and then it's just a quick tree change. So it's a very, very easy change to change into, and I think this is a more powerful version. All right, so that is everything. I am BalorMage, and I will see everybody later.